So what do you do when you were the top selling video game console during the holidays in 2025 and there's a RAM crisis? You jack the price of the console again. Sony just announced a gigantic PS5 price hike. Will players pay it? This also explains, kind of, I think, what's going on with them trying to push PS4 owners into buying a PS5. It could just be them trying to get more blood out of the stones because it seems like people aren't upgrading their consoles like they used to. But we'll see. We're going to read about this. We're going to talk about the situation with RAM, and there might be a solution. But we're also going to point out that it's not just Sony that's raising their prices. Of course, Xbox, for some reason, they're in dead last place, raising their prices. Switch 2 production has been slashed by 30% because the Switch 2 did not resonate with players the way that they thought it would. It would help tremendously if you had games worth buying. And even this kid's console, the next Playground, is getting a price hike. So you might want to hold off on buying that new console until this crisis is over, if you can avoid it. And I think it's easy to avoid because a lot of the games coming out now just aren't worth it. I don't know. I'm going to talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants, guys. This is coming from Push Square. Sony announces gigantic PS5 price increase effective from April 2026. I love how they don't give you any notice. I mean, they probably would sell more consoles if they were like, hey guys, in 3 months, we're going to raise the price. So you might want to get in before we raise the price. But of course, the purpose is to maximize revenue. And if you gave people a heads up that they had a couple of months to buy a console, they would rush out and buy it cheaper, and then they wouldn't be buying it, after the price hike. So following a leak about the announcement, Sony has confirmed it will be increasing the price of PlayStation 5 consoles as well as PS Portal. I keep forgetting that thing exists. Starting on the 2nd of April, the RRP on PS5, PS5 Pro, and PS Portal devices is going to go up significantly due to continued pressure in the global economic landscape. So RAM and also tariffs. And also not enough people are buying consoles, so we have to gouge the people that are left, I guess. So the PS5 currently is $549 and now is going up to $649, a $100 price increase. The PS5 digital edition is $499. It's going up to $599. Again, $100. The PS5 Pro is $699. It's going up to $899 for the PS5 Pro. The Portal is $199, going up to $249. We know that price changes impact our community, and after careful evaluation, we found this was a necessary step to ensure we can continue delivering innovative, high-quality gaming experiences to players worldwide. Translation, this is how we pay our bills and justify our existence, and we have a lot of people working here, and Bungie's not pulling in any money, and that's probably what's going on. For comparison's sake, at launch, the PS5 was $499. The digital was $399. This sort of price hiking is unprecedented within games hardware. In every other generation, the cost of a console has always gone down over time. For the PS5, it's been the opposite. They're not going to release a PS6 anytime soon. I don't think they're going to. I think they've been pushing everybody to PS5, and I think this is basically the PS6 pushing you to buy a more expensive console. The reason there would be a line refresh in previous generations is people stopped buying that particular console. So to get people to buy consoles again, you got to release a new console and then put some games out there that justify the existence of said console. So far, this has not worked for Nintendo with the Switch 2. We have a Switch 2. I think Pokopia is the first, gotta have it game, and it's not really for everybody. But there's no killer app for it. And the PS5, we bought a PS5 when it first came out. Geeky was able to get one at Target, of all places, online, and she got it on launch day through the website. Nobody thought to go to Target, I guess, but she was on online at 5 o'clock in the morning. She got it. And we did an unboxing video. You can actually find that on the channel years ago. We didn't really play it that much, or at least my son played it, but he was playing mostly PS4 games because I don't think the PS5 was worth buying until maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It's kind of, I feel the same way about it that I do about the Switch 2 currently, where yeah, it's a nice little upgrade, but you don't really have to have it. And I think what's happening here beyond the price increases and all this is I think gamers are becoming content with the tech that they have. Yeah, I was reading this article the other day talking about device hoarding. This is a term they've come up with. I mean, this is some pure cope right here. Device hoarding. Basically, people aren't upgrading their tech every other year like they were before, and now all these tech manufacturers are flipping out, right? Back in my day, you'd buy an NES, you'd play it for like 7 or 8 years, and now it's like everybody's used to just having the latest, greatest thing. But they said, yeah, Americans are hanging on to their smartphones for longer than they did a decade ago. I still have an iPhone 12. Like I haven't upgraded my phone in years. I don't want to. It's a pain in the ass to upgrade, and I don't want the payment. It's already paid for. Same with my car. I drive a 10-year-old Toyota. I'm okay with it because it's paid for. And I don't really need a new car. And I think people are going to feel the same way about gaming consoles eventually, where there's no incentive to buy the latest, greatest console if the games aren't good. And the companies are enshittifying the whole process by, with the game cards, the key cards, like in Nintendo's case, you don't actually own your games. The censorship, the price gouging, I'm saying, like, it was so much easier when you bought your console, you bought your cartridge or your disc, you owned it, you could sell it. It wasn't going to be changed. You weren't going to be locked out of it if you couldn't get online because you owned a physical thing, an analog thing that worked when you put it into the console. And I think a lot of people are over it. I think they're over getting the newest console. So that's part of it too. I don't just think it's the RAM prices. I don't just think it's the tariffs, because most people who want a PS5 have already purchased a PS5. I think they know the PS6 is at least a couple of years away, and they gotta juice the remaining stones for as much blood as they can if they want to stay in business or stay competitive. And again, they've had a lot of misfires with Bungie and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So this sort of price hiking is unprecedented. Yeah, they said. As Sony mentions, the global economic landscape is to blame and can largely be boiled down to ongoing tariff-related matters in the U.S. RAM is now at a premium. Shortages caused by generative AI companies have driven the prices sky high. That is actually true. A standard PS5 now matches the Xbox Series X price in the US, while the Switch 2 is currently available for $449.99. Nintendo is expected to increase the price of its console as well. Yeah, and they're cutting back on the production of it. So they're going to make fewer Switches, and they're going to charge you more for them. If you were considering buying a PS5, you only have a few days left to get one at the current price. I think most people that want a PS5 already have it. But again, they're pushing people to buy them. I know PS4 owners, they're sending out emails and all kinds of stuff like, please buy a PS5. It's like, why? There's nothing really exclusive to the console that you have to have a PS5. I mean, it's nice to have a PS5. We have a PS5. And like I said, mostly it's PS4 games that we play on the PS5. I actually have some games that are PS4 and PS5. And I got the digital version, and to save space, I just play the PS4 version because the differences are negligible. Like there's very, very little difference. I think Street Fighter 6 is one of those games where it's like I don't see much of a difference between the PS5 and the PS4 version of it. And right now I'm gonna get all the fighting game players in here be like, there's a total difference, the frame rate, and whatever. I'm a casual. I don't notice a difference. Okay, so anyway. So that's that, and it's also hitting, the next Playground, which is basically the Xbox. And this thing sold really well over the holidays, but they're gonna bump the price of it up $50 too. So what's going on with the RAM? All right, so this is coming from Sportskeeda. Google's new Turbo Quant AI might end the current RAM price hike crisis, they said. I think the tweet comes from Pirate Nation. Now, there are people jumping in the comments and saying that he's not accurate in this case, but I know that a lot of these RAM companies are not doing well. A lot of tech companies are not doing well. And I think there is definitely something going on with tech companies. I think the bubble is going to burst here pretty damn quick. And we've been talking about it. And it seems like a lot of these AI owners now are just kind of like I know there's a lot of hand wringing. I saw Elon Musk was tweeting last night about like, we have to win the AI race or whatever. It keeps me up at night. And I'm like, I don't think it's keeping him up at night because he's worried about like evil robot AI taking over the world. I think it keeps him up at night because he doesn't know what's going to be left of his company since he's gone all in on AI. That's my personal opinion. And I think AI absolutely positively is here to stay. I want to be very clear about that. But I think we're getting close to whatever the upper limits of current technology are for the amount of money that it costs, right? The amount of compute. I don't think Americans, in general, want to see the entire country junked up with data centers, nuclear power plants, vibe coded by Microsoft. It's ridiculous. So there's a lot going on here. Anyway, Pirate Nation has it. Google has announced TurboQuant, a new AI algorithm that reduces memory usage for large language models by a factor of 6 and improves speed by up to 8 times via software. So it's like a compression. As a result, RAM and memory chip stocks like Samsung, Hynix, and Micron have dropped hard. Well, there's a general drop in tech, but yeah, interesting. So it was actually announced. Somebody said, yeah, it was a year ago. Pirate Nation says this is a new method based on the old one. It improves a lot. Factual Man says market might be overreacting here. Google making AI more efficient doesn't kill demand. It usually increases usage. Cheaper compute, more apps, more users, more scale. So RAM demand might go up per task. How Google felt after that. So this is Bond here, says, for all the content creators and journalists who might try to make a post like this subject of a video or an article, please remember this account is always wrong about everything. No, not always. Except it's not an opinion. The account is stating a fact. Yes. I fact-checked everything there can be about this claim. It seems to be true. True. So are most Twitter accounts, unless you don't care to ever take any account of their word. Yeah. So I don't know, guys. Obviously, they're going to use this situation. It's just like everything else. I was talking to Geeky this morning. Whenever there's a crisis, they raise prices. They give an excuse as to why they're raising prices. But then when that crisis is over, the price never goes back down. Did you notice that? I still remember Hurricane Katrina 20 years ago. Gas prices skyrocketed. I mean, at that point, gas was like $1.75, $1.50 a gallon. Skyrocketed like $4 a gallon or some crazy amount. And they were like, oh, it's a hurricane. And we never had the gas go down that low again. They used it to justify a price increase. And mark my word, this is only happening in part because of the RAM crisis. It's probably happening more because of corporate greed. I don't even know if it's corporate greed. I think it's corporate survival. These video game companies honestly thought that they were going to make the insane amount of money they were making forever, and that they could just crank out slop games year after year after year, political games year after year after year, that people were going to buy it, no questions asked, that you were pay pigs. And now people are pushing back and they're like, you know what? I'm okay with old tech. I'm okay with it. So real quick here, we'll look at this story too. This is Japan's cheaper language locked PS5 shielded from outrageous price increases. Okay. So they said, with today's outrageous global price increase, what does that mean for the platform holders' plan? Incredibly, it will not be making any changes to the price of the language locked model at all. So in Japan, if you speak Japanese, you can get a Japanese PlayStation language locked, and they're not going to raise the price on it. It's a no-brainer. The language locked model is effectively half the price of all the other console models. Of course, it does require you to understand Japanese, and you'll need a local PSN account. So yeah, Japan's not getting a price hike. That's weird, right? I don't know, guys. What do you think? I've already got my PS5. If you don't have one, I don't think this is going to incentivize you to buy one anytime soon. You can probably get by with your PS4 or even, hell, your PS2, your PS1. There are more games, there are more retro games available to play than you can ever realistically beat in a lifetime. So you really, truly don't need to buy a new console, in my opinion. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.